Yep. Sorry, everybody. I was treating this like a, just a board meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. And of course, the purpose of this meeting is for the department budget presentations. Okay.
You're okay. I'll start with the administration budgets that are left. So starting off would be the first one would be benefits.
Okay.
Oh, over here. It's here. So benefits is number 1-4155.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, in the it's on the table. I'm sorry, in the paper with the paper clips.
Okay.
Yes, there we go. I'm
All
sorry.
right.
I put mine in my binder.
I've also got it in
so-
the binders. I opened up the binder.
But so
Okay.
great. So you see, these are our regular benefits. Some of the bigger increases that you'll see is the health and dental. You see a jump there. That's the 6.8% increase that was assessed through our health group. The other thing is you see an increase in retirements, the retirement for police, fire, and employees. That's all due, obviously, that's all relative to wages as to what we pay into retirement. So overall on the benefits, there was a 10.4% increase, which would be relative to the health insurance percentage increase and then the wage increases for in regards to with retirement.
So, yeah. So. Is this any different from, this was just, what was in the book is not exactly. That's not it.
So
I think it's just because we just got the numbers, right?
Yeah.
we just got the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got the increases.
No, I understand that. I'm just looking at this here and I just noticed that it was not in that part of the book. One of the bigger increases is the fire NHRS.
Retirement.
That's what you were saying.
And again, you see, the jumps in that too, particularly with fire, is the fact that they have new personnel coming on board in their budget proposal. So those new positions need to be budgeted for in the benefits.
Yeah. Looks fine.
Okay.
It's really not a lot you can know.
No, not a lot that can be changed that I can see in here.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept the benefits operating budget as presented for $2,597,650.
We have a second.
Second.
All of us.
Any further discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next one, just going down in order. If it pleases the board. I know we approved the building department budget last meeting. But there was a change to be discussed and if the board will hear it out, I did bring a proposal to adjust that previously approved number. And the reason for that was the discussion with the board with short-term rentals and the backlog of permitting and items that have come up that we're just probably not going to be able to sustain and keep up with the workload of the short-term rentals that are already coming in if we didn't entertain part-time help there with that. So with that said, the original budget was approved at $124,060.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, building department, which would be 4192
Are we in the?
in your book, in
All
the
right,
book.
4192. That's what I was looking to miss. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that one was previously approved. It should be in your book. And the way the tabs work is if you pull the tab up, the paperwork is after it, not before it.
Right.
So what was that going up to?
So the proposal would be to put part-time help in at
Yep.
between 20 and 25 hours a week,
Mhm.
totaling 28,000.
28,000 on top of the
124,60.
okay.
I'll let Laura blurt out that number, seeing how she's doing it on her calculator there.
So 25 hours a week additional.
Yeah, between 20 and 25, it depends on,
Mhm.
but we did an average rate. We weren't sure exactly what the board would settle on for a rate of pay hourly.
Mhm.
So we put a range in there. So it'd be between 20 and 25 hours a week.
Okay.
So what would that bring the new total up? 152,060.
060. I think it's desperately needed.
Yeah. Oh,
It's needed.
Yeah.
And we need to have this. He needs the assistance.
So that would be the only change in the proposal brought forward, based on the previous discussions and workload.
Not to mention with the applications that are coming in and permits that are coming in, this is almost going to be almost a level funded.
Oh, yes. Yeah, and with that, additionally, exactly. We ran the numbers today on the revenues brought in from the permitting, and currently the building department has already brought in $84,000 in revenue off of their $117,000 budget, and we're only into October. So they've funded all but $34,000 of their own budget. So it does closely offset.
It'll be close.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the building department budget with the amendments of the part-time?
I'll make a motion that we move to approve the building department with the amended $28,000, bringing the total to $152,060.
62. I'm sorry.
62.
62.
Oh, I'm 60. I was
I
wrong.
thought it was
I'm
60.
sorry.
I have it 152. 152.
That was my typo.
Any
good?
further- You second it?
Are we good?
No, we're good.
Yeah.
All right.
Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Next.
Next one was the HHW,
HHW.
household hazardous waste. That's probably in that paper clipped portion that you had on your table.
Yeah, it's right here. Right on top. Okay, so this is 29,974.
Yes, yeah. Well, we were waiting for numbers on with this one, in particular with sold hazardous waste. I'm sorry.
It's right here.
So the total, it's only got one line on there. The total is 29,974. Is looking at that. The increase from the previous year is mainly due to a 15% increase in the Clean Harbors contract. that disposes of and hauls away the hazardous waste. Again, that's another contractual update, you know, that's we did try to shop around. This is sort of a specialty item. There's not a lot of people that do hazardous waste removal. We did get another quote from a competitor, and their rates were much higher than the renewal that we were being offered with Clean Harbors. So this is a renewal. We did not find a competitive company that could compete with the renewal proposal of the 15% increase. So that's really where all that's coming from. Also. Oh, I'm sorry.
There's a second page. It has
So
this
that-
ways of
The
99.
29, but that's our portion, right? I'm sorry. Yeah, so HHW's budget is broken up between Wolfboro and Alton. So the 29 that you see on the front page, the 29,974 is our portion. But the
Right.
total budget is the 99, but it's broken up 70-30 with Wolfboro. So they pay 70% of
So
that.
they're the $99,914
Correct.
Wolfboro.
No, that's the
whole
total.
thing together.
Oh, that's all
They
together.
paid
Okay.
70.
Take our 29,
Yeah.
974.
Mhm. Yeah,
Like this.
yeah, now I see it.
Yeah.
This was our last page, so it's a little backwards, okay.
Make a motion that we accept the hazardous waste at $29,974.
Second.
Any further discussion? Nope. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, our next one would be insurances. And
That
that,
should be in our book, right?
no,
That
that
one.
would be in the paper clock, in the paper clipped ones. We just got those numbers in too.
Okay.
Right there.
Yep.
Yep.
Be in here somewhere. No, it's here.
Should be.
I'm just looking and seeing here it is. I got it.
Oh.
Insurance, yep. Yep. Okay,
And again, the increases in this one, we just got these the beginning of the week from Primex. So these rate amounts, especially workers' compensation, property liability insurance, and uninsured expenses. Well, uninsured expenses were level funded, but the two big ones was unemployment, workers' compensation, and property liability. And those rate increases were based off the pool from Primex.
What was the percentage of it?
So each one was a separate percentage. They were roughly due. So actually, if you look, last year we were late getting the numbers. And we had done some averaged out funding, and we actually had overfunded a little bit last year. So this year, instead of absorbing the full 10% increase, we only had to absorb roughly 5%.
We're actually not in bad shape yet.
No, not nearly not as bad as
Not
we
as
would
bad
have
as it
been.
could have
Yeah.
we have a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the operating budget for the insurance at $321,191.
Second. Second.
Oh, second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Can you hear us all right over there? Can you hear everything?
Scott,
Oh, I
can you
figured
hear me?
sometimes you
Scott,
do something.
all right.
Since the table's set up here.
Okay,
All right. So the next one would be that's the remaining of the administration budgets. Yeah, we'll
Right to
move
police.
on to police.
please.
All right, we didn't want to have to do it.
Mhm. 4210.
In case this goes poorly, I drive a
going
weird
deep.
looking green colored
Going
Dodge
deep.
Ram, 2500, right? What's your license plate, Brock? That's my truck. Pull them over.
So. And nothing has changed on this since we've received our books, correct?
No.
No.
So just as an update, obviously, we've been short-staffed through most of this year and real proud of our folks for keeping the activity level up and nothing has really slipped through the cracks. We've been able to provide all the services the town's looking for. And obviously notably, we had that recent carjacking case and types of things do happen in this town and I'm really proud of our agency for the way they responded to that. And for several other cases.
Yeah, pull it up close to you.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So again, just wanted to express my appreciation to the folks working at the police department. And I think we do provide a pretty good service to this town. In the interest of brevity, for the budget proposal for 2024, I think I'll just maybe hit some of the highlights real quick and then you can follow up with any questions that you have. The most significant impact obviously is under the personnel, which has been adjusted to reflect some of the recruitment and retention strategies you folks have implemented. I'll point you to line 32, which is the holiday pay. For the police department, the officers that work shifts, their holiday accumulates through the year. They get paid out at the end of the year. We added a holiday this year with Juneteenth. And the hours for the holiday have also been increased because of the 10-hour work schedule that the town has adjusted to. So that line, we went from 88 hours per officer to 120. That's why you see that it's got that significant jump. Let's see. The add-ons that I have, you'll see in line 111 and 165 are both related to accreditation. We'll be seeking in-state New Hampshire accreditation for the police department. It is short of mandatory, but it's being pushed from the federal level in order to qualify for grants and so forth. You'll have to have an accreditation. This is a lot cheaper than going for CALIA, which would be the national or international accreditation body. So for roughly $1,300, it's well worth the money. This is the fee for the actual accreditation enrollment, and then you'll see the $550 is for Power DMS standards, and that is required in order to do the accreditation process. If you go down to fleet fuel, I reduced that a little bit based upon projection on costs. And of course, after I do that, they're talking about oil prices going up again. But we increased it pretty significantly last year for the increased rates. And I think that we'll be able to, I reduced our electricity by the $2,000. That's based upon looking at our average usage and the current rates. And I was also similarly able to reduce the building fuel by $520 based upon our average usage. So I know if you look at the bottom line, there's a bit of an impact, but again, that's based upon some payroll. One other thing I'll note under the wages for the full-time, we have one of our officers is on military leave. So last year we reduced his wage line because he wasn't going to be there. So that's why you see a little bit of a higher increase on that particular line. We anticipate him coming back here in January. And so, like I said, it's a significant increase over last year, percentage wise, but it's reflected through the recruitment and retention. And of course, you've seen 3 people come before you now to be hired.
Yeah.
So we are full staffed once
You have
Andrew Hudak comes back in January.
Okay.
But
And
our 3 openings that we've had for a while now, as soon as I was able to update our posting with new rates and that sort of stuff, we got a lot more activity and we got,
it helped.
it did. And these are quality candidates too, where a lot of people are,
People for the job.
Exactly it.
Whatever's out there.
all 3 are
Yeah,
certified.
they're all 3 certified and,
Yeah,
and
good.
we don't have to send any of them to the academy.
So I don't know if you have any further questions about any particular line or justification for any of the lines.
Well,
Anybody have any questions?
just
Other than salaries, it looks like everybody's keeping their budgets pretty low,
Yeah.
tight.
with this, with the new employees and with what you have for part-timers and what you have, you're completely set with what you need for staffing?
As of right now, yes. I mean, to get the 3 extra bodies just to fill that would be excellent
Mhm.
because people have been pulling double duty and the lieutenant's been working nothing but shifts. And so we've really stretched our guys pretty thin. So
Mhm.
we're definitely going to feel better to have those 3 spots
Mhm.
filled.
Mhm.
And then, of course, once we get Andrew back too in January,
Andrew back,
that will
yep.
be us full staff.
Mhm.
And I feel comfortable going forward right now.
So the total increase is,
I missed the percentage. What
on
was
this
the
page.
percentage?
198.
198. Yep. That's what I got, 198, 636.
Just to point out, looking at just the percentage, overall percentage increase is 14.4%. We figured just with the wage and retention increases, not anything else that he was talking about,
Mhm.
that's 14%.
Right.
So we're
On track.
on.
Okay,
the-
all right.
All right, well, I make a motion that we vote to approve the police department's budget at $1,573,000 Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. $1,573,840.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.
Thanks, Todd.
Tell the guys a great job on that.
Thank you very much.
Your microphone.
You might bring your mic down.
Can't hear me?
No, they're not gonna hear it on the recording.
DPW.
I'm
Do
gonna,
that next.
I was gonna do fire next, just. 'cause
Fire,
they're-
okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
You guys all set? We'll do fire next. Just because Scott's got so much.
Yeah, he does.
That is gonna be,
3 or 4 million.
He's got a lot on there.
they're gonna do ambulance, 4220.
Yeah. I got you. We do together. Okay,
Hello.
it's all yours. How you doing?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
So let me start by, again, as you all know, I've been here just a little over 2 months, so there were certainly some gaps in my knowledge in order to help put this budget together. So I do want to thank the officers and particularly the captain for, helping me with some of the historical numbers as I was going through the budget. And there's 2 words I can use when you're looking at this budget, and I think fair and conservative. Because the select board did agree to the 10% raise. We knew that was going to raise up our budget. So we knew we had to be very conservative in some other areas to sort of help offset that.
Yes.
So I won't go line by line, but the biggest increase for us, particularly because of the 10% increase, was our personnel lines. And you'll see as the total of those lines went down on shift coverage wages and on call wages. And the reason for that is because of the hiring of the 2 full-time personnel. As you've heard and was reiterated in the report from the consultant that our part-time on-call firefighters, per diem firefighters are becoming less and less. Fewer folks are wanting to do this part-time. So in order to meet the needs of the community, we do need that full-time staffing. So these numbers here show the addition of 2 full-time firefighter EMTs. What we did is we're hiring them after April 1st or after, so we're not absorbing the full 12 months of their salary. So we're getting just the 9 months there. We were able to decrease the on-call wages by 10,000 and the shift coverage wages by 36,000. So think of the 2 full-time personnel that we're hiring. They're going to be adding 84 hours per week of coverage. So again, we were able to be more conservative in the part-time coverage. Some other lines that we were able to decrease, fire training. And I can say that the men and women of the department, just about every shift that they're able to do shift training. Several of them will take advantage of New Hampshire Fire Academy training as well as the National Fire Academy training courses. Again, in my 2 months here, I can say this department is well trained and is committed to training. the New Hampshire Fire Academy, however, has reduced some of the cost of their training programs. And the reason for that is some of the training programs are now what used to be full 100% in classroom and on the drill yard hours. Some of these hours are now able to be done online. So the costs of their programs have decreased. So we were able to decrease our training line. Going forward, some of the other areas we were able to decrease fleet expenses. And again, we did about a 3 to 4 year look back. And if we had a line that over the course of 3 or 4 years was underspent, we looked at what we thought the average would be and we adjusted that, and we were able to take some of the money off of that. And fleet expenses fell under that category. That was a line that was underspent for several years. Another big savings, and my fingers, I guess, are crossing on this one, but certainly electricity. When we look at, our building fuel, we know the fuel expenses have gone down. We know the electricity expenses have gone down. So rather than leaving those lines the same, again, looking at history, we were able to take some dollars out of the budget for those lines as well. And as far as personal protective equipment, of course, employee health, equipment testing, those numbers stay the same. Our hydrant rental and dry hydrant, those numbers stay the same as well. Captain, anything to add under the fire? Anything that I may have missed?
Nope, I just, the only thing I would mention also is when we do see several years where particular lines are underspent, we got to keep in mind that sometimes those years, those lines were used to offset over expenditures on other lines. So usually fleet expenses ends up being one of those areas. But again, even with what we've been seeing in recent years, we do feel that number is reasonable.
Before we go over to the EMS budget, is there any particular questions on the fire budget?
No, I think you guys did a great
No,
job.
yeah, and I'm
It's
gonna-
only 100.
$114,000 increase since last year. That is
114.
phenomenal. You guys did a good job.
And they're adding 2 more personnel.
Yeah,
With more
with
personnel.
personnel, that's,
You guys did a
You've
really
done
good job.
well with it.
yeah, no, I think you guys did a great job.
Thank you. I think it came out to about a 10% increase.
10.8.
Yeah, 114,199 is what I have.
That's what I got.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it's gotta be individual.
Any other questions?
No.
Just for transparency in how this reflects back to the report. Built into this particular budget does include 3 people on duty during the day and 2 people on duty at night.
Okay.
Just full transparency until
Yep.
we have a plan drafted that you can reference on a more regular basis. Just
Excellent. Okay.
So we have a motion.
I make a motion that we vote to approve the fire department budget at $1,176,495.
Second.
All in favor?
That was so
Aye.
impressive.
Aye.
Aye.
That was very good,
a
Rock.
joy.
You did a good
He's
job.
trying to figure out how to work the mic properly.
Yeah. It's
Too far. It's going to ambulance.
Yes, the duty ambulance.
Yeah. Okay. Ambulance.
Okay, so the next is the EMS budget. Those are your 9,000 lines on the budget. So we had a little bit less of a change on the EMS side of the budget. We did decrease just a bit for training expenses. Again, based on costs of training programs, how many training hours, that sort of thing, we were able to, based on an underspend, be able to come down a little bit on that line as well.
Just ambulance. That is the.
Okay.
We did need to decrease the dispatch line, and that's a contract set, that fee is set by
Right.
Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid. So they went up a bit on their annual fee. Stayed the same on reference material and general expenses. New equipment, this is where we did need to go up a little bit, and just about everything else, healthcare, as you can imagine, the cost of your disposables and some of your larger equipment like
All gone up.
laryngoscopes and things like that.
Right.
The cost of equipment has gone up, so we did go up about 26% on that line, and that was probably our biggest bump. This particular budget.
But if I'm reading this right, overall, the budget went up $7,700. which is.
The whole year.
Yeah.
Not to mention it's self-funded.
It's so.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much.
Yeah, no, I got,
No questions there.
Yeah, no,
I think that looks good.
I'll make a motion to approve the ambulance revolving fund as presented at 145,952.
Second. There we go.
Second
one.
Second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. One thing I would like to add on the EMS side, many of our members are increasing their skill level. So there's been a sort of a movement to go to advanced life support. So folks that were EMTs are now in class to be advanced EMTs. And we've got folks that are advanced EMTs that are now in paramedic school. In fact, we had one recent graduate of a paramedic
Awesome.
program.
Good.
So we're looking to
Congratulations,
really, get more and more of our members at that higher level of EMS training.
Perfect. Great job, guys.
Thank you very
very
much.
Thank you.
Fantastic
Fantastic.
job. You sure you don't want to stay?
What's next on the? He's got like 100 of them.
Step on up, Scott.
Come on down.
Can we have the DPW director front center, please?
You turn my mic down.
Would you say clean up on aisle two? Clean up on aisle two.
Lean into the mic.
Weigh in.
Lean into the mic.
No, 3.
Okay. All right,
Okay,
so
where
we're gonna
we
go
at?
right to,
Turn
which one do you want to do
You said,
first?
you tell us.
Yeah, what do you have
You
for
want to
us
start
first?
small and go big? we did cemetery.
You already did some.
I did cemetery when you
You
weren't
probably
around.
enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that
nice.
was an easy one.
Yeah.
That was an easy one.
That's why
We'll
I
let-
did it.
We'll let the people that already passed pay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Want to start right with grounds and maintenance?
Grounds maintenance, sure.
Maintenance.
Which one is that?
Oh, boy.
It is 4194, grounds and maintenance.
4194 is virtually within $100 of being level funded. Not that I think, I think that certainly, once again, that the wishes were to keep expenses down. Currently, I'm at 19% remaining in that account. I expect that I will be dead flat on that. There'd probably be pennies, if anything, left in there. So, the buildings and grounds have certainly taken a beating
Mhm.
over the years because it's been very flat funded throughout. So, but once again, understanding that you're made a significant increase in wages, so left it at that. I would expect in the future that you'll probably see that, that's an area that will need to have some growth based upon the maintenance of,
Sure.
the grounds and the fields and, there is some of that needs to be looked at over time.
Okay. And that budget is 147,765. Is
Yeah.
Okay. If
That's down, though, am I seeing?
no, it's down.
40, almost 40,000.
Right.
37.
Well, that's an inflated number based upon encumbrances.
Okay,
The encumbrances.
Okay, that,
okay.
Yeah, it's about 37 and change.
you can't include it, so I got you.
So,
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, right, okay.
so what
Okay.
was budgeted last year and I believe approved was 147,824, which would in fact be the default as well. The budget that's in here is 147,765 or 5, whatever.
yeah, that's what I
And
got.
Laura does some great magic with helping with the rounding, so I always defer. She always gets me a few extra cents or $1 or something. So, you can see I've left in several areas that are highlighted. I don't foresee that there will be funds in the 2023 budget of this account, at least, that would be able to be earmarked for some of these items, other than, for an example, the playground chips. I do expect that I will pull from 2023 in preparation. For 2024, we still have other, the playground at B&M Park out behind here, and the playground at the Liberty Tree out behind the water department that will still needs to have the safety mulch installed. We have completed the playground at Jones Field, which was inspected by Primex. We have a punch list there. We should have that wrapped up hopefully next week. Meeting with Kelly on Monday to get the signs installed, and we've got to do a little bit of spray painting on some of our crews. So other than that, we should be in good shape. The grounds crew there finished up putting the mulch around at the right depth. So, you know, there's always some stuff there. I mean, as I go down to the west side restrooms and, you know, those doors all need to be replaced. That building it is what it is. I'll just leave it at that. You know, it was constructed relatively inexpensively from what I understand, and it's in need of, it's used and it's heavy. A lot. Exactly. I like that.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. So. We get a little squeaky.
Me.
I'll get a little close.
The bandstand electric, is that also including the water bandstand? Electric?
You know, I have no idea. Matter of fact, Jack and I had this conversation the other morning. Because the lights that are, you know, the night, I call them the night lights that are the string around the soffit for both bandstands are lit
Yes.
nightly. And I said to Jack, I said, so there is a power line that goes out there, I guess.
Yes,
He said,
there
yeah,
is.
it goes from the ABCC, believes, and goes out there underwater. And I said, well, I
Community
notice it every morning because I make my ride. I said, those are always on, so they must be connected somehow.
It's connected from the conference center. The conference center has the switches right there to shut those lights off on the water bandstand.
I think at the community center.
That's community center, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
all right, that's what I
Community
thought.
center, I meant.
Yeah.
That's in the basement. The line goes out from there
Okay,
over to the water bandstand.
so I'm guessing that comes off that meter.
Mhm.
So that is, the electric is covered in this budget, because that's, I'm not aware of any other electric bills
Right.
that come in to the town. I'm sure that if they came up here to town hall, with the exception of, I think the only electric bill that I don't get is a Gilman Museum. In the street lights, yeah.
If I may, for a second, the last meeting, we had mentioned possibly putting the water bandstand maintenance under the DPW with a sum of $5,000 for repairs every year. It seems that there's never enough money in the capital reserve to do the necessary repairs for painting, cleaning, any small repairs. There was some monies that were sought after this year, and there wasn't enough funds in that. There is monies in the escrow account, but that is for entertainment only. So sometimes it's difficult to get these. A lot of it has been by donations to doing the maintenance and things. And whenever the things need to be done, it always has to come back to the selectmen, selectmen approve, and then go through. So the thought was by the committee to put in a line item for the water bandstand maintenance, if you will, up to $5,000 if that's agreed on, to put towards that. And when materials are needed, so the committee would still be there. Committee would still do the work, still take care, because that has worked out very well. I know, I've been on it. I've done it, worked out there. It's worked out well, and it takes away from you having to worry about getting out there and doing it.
The director would just have the say as
As to
the
what-
money,
Right.
how to disperse it.
How to disperse the money. In other words, when the chairperson calls and says, okay, we're going out next week, but we need $500 worth of paint and stuff like that, and be able to approve it, just go and get it and get out there and do it. Because it's always time constraint and it's weather sensitive to get out there to do the work.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
You
at
put it-
whatever the pleasure of the board is. I was here at the meeting and it seems that way.
Only got two.
If you're fine
Oh,
with,
okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, that's all right.
That's true. That's true. I mean, if it's 2,500, the other bandstand is only 2,500, right?
Only $2,000.
$2,000.
But
Yes, it is.
2,500, I
Building
believe,
expense is
was what-
2,000.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, the only reason I said that, the one thing that happens out there that doesn't happen to the land bandstand or the rest of the buildings is ice damage.
Right.
And all it takes is one storm for the ice to tear apart that deck, and now we're instantly into thousands
Right.
of dollars of repair. So that was why it was thought to have a $5,000 capital reserve for that.
Yeah, I mean, my recommendation and, you know, either would be to create another count line within this budget and or put it under the bandstand building expenses and indicate that that is a subcategory being the, you know,
Earmarked.
water bandstand, $5,000
Mhm.
for building maintenance. Just, you know, it's fine. I mean, I'm sure it's always hard to make some of those predictions
Mhm.
as to what's going to be there for damage because
Right.
and or you know, you can predict probably you paint it every 3 to 5 years. you
Every
know,
year.
Or every year.
Every year, it's the decking needs to be scraped, painted, it all gets washed,
Can
scraped
we-
and painted. And, yeah.
Can we add that into the bandstand with a line with a asterisk in it that says this amount is designated for the water bandstand?
As long as it's earmarked for that.
I think it's just cleaner to create another.
Create
Another line. I was hoping
We
we
could just
could,
add a
Isn't
separate
it-
line.
Okay,
that
no,
says
that's-
I would like to see another line for the water bandstand earmarked for that. I think it'd be easier.
What's the difference between the bandstands? I mean, I know one's on the water, one's on land, but like, but why can't it just be $7,000 for bandstands? Like, is there a reason? I just.
There's, I'm sorry.
The only thing I can say is because the land bandstand can easily be repaired and worked on by the DPW. Because it's on land, versus going out and working on the water bandstand on a regular maintenance basis.
And the
Okay, so-
because
DPW
it-
doesn't maintain
They
it.
don't maintain it because they don't have the.
I didn't know they
necessity to
maintained
get
the
out there.
land one too. Oh, okay, I didn't know they did.
So we have boats that about the volunteers go out and take care of it, and
I didn't know they maintained the land.
yes,
That
that
was volunteer too, I thought.
No.
Oh, gotcha.
no,
Okay.
that's all part of DPW
Yep.
and grounds and maintenance.
I didn't know. That's fine. I didn't know.
Just like the conference center. Conference center and any of the other buildings. But the water bandstand is the only one, and the other expense on that would be flags and other things to
I
change the
didn't know,
flags. and
I
stuff
didn't know
like
they had.
All right, so first of all, I'll make a motion to add a line item for the water bandstand to the buildings and grounds budget with a sum of $5,000 earmarked just for the water bandstand.
Second.
that. Any further discussion? All in favor?
I,
Aye.
And
Thank you,
second,
Scott.
I will make a motion to approve the budget at
I gotta add the 5,000 to the 147.
52, 765.
2,869.
Yeah. 52.
Thank you, Laura.
Just saying.
52, 765.
Nice math.
I will make, I'm gonna make a motion to approve the buildings and grounds budget at 152,765.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Now which one we go under? Now to Public Works.
That was grounds and maintenance. Already done solid waste.
I don't think we have solid. waste. Did we do some?
No, I guess we didn't. You want to do solid waste next?
Sure.
4324.
So most of this budget is actually driven by contract. With the exception of, there's an increase in fuel here. With the new loader and the new, well, the relatively new skid steer down there because of their new Tier 4 motors, they burn more fuel. So we've upped the fuel line in here. And then the rest of it's all basically is all contract for disposal. Trucking is in here as well. We continue to monitor, we've had previous discussions relative to looking at our contract and looking at doing our own transportation, which I think we should continue to pursue, although we've kind of backed off on the aggressiveness of that because of staff shortage.
Right.
I think, once we were back full staff again, I think it'd be, good to get, we've already had conversation with Waste Management. They would renegotiate the contract with us. They have given some proposed rates. I'm sure that now those may have gone by the wayside, but we may want to be thinking about trying to strike with that relatively soon versus letting it go too long. But we haven't been back into that as of yet. Originally, Scott and I had kind of thought the strategy would be that somewhere in and around September of this year that we're currently in, that if we were full staff, that we would, kind of look for the board to say, listen, we've lined up a truck, do the transportation. We have somebody that we can utilize in-house with Public Works to do that. Relatively, 30 something hours a week, basically on the transportation side of things. So it would almost be a full-time gig there as far as moving it. But once again, understanding that it's filling back and forth and not knowing exactly what was going to be entailed as far as the distance on the hauls, because we would do our recycling as well. So with that in mind, we've kind of held off. I'm still down 2 positions. So, I think that it's still something that needs to be, looked at, because there will be some significant jumps as they renegotiate the contract to the tune of double your money.
Yeah.
On transportation more so than on disposal. But from what I'm hearing, and I kind of got to look to Brock, he's got a better pulse on it, to be perfectly honest with you, than I do. He's in communication probably with them more frequently than I am, because he's directly does a lot of that, where Scott does, Scott handles that up on his end. But he shared a lot of the numbers with me, and that's what we're seeing. So, but that's how this budget's pretty much driven on that side of it. We did maintain, actually, it's not in this budget, so I think it's in the.
So it's an increase of
recycling.
23,512. That's
Right.
correct.
And once again, that is just dealing with pretty much operations at the facility. That does not include wages, overtime. any of
Right.
that.
That's all in, that's in
that's all
y'all.
in the public.
That's all in the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yep.
I make a motion that we vote to accept the
Solid waste.
solid waste budget at $392,650.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Oh,
Folks,
We
again.
heard you.
got a gauge here. Work
So-
on that.
You want it too close, you want it too far away.
Probably Public Works budget.
Yep.
So,
Public Works, 4312.
This budget's carrying all the wages, right?
Correct.
That's why it's, okay.
So this one
So-
carried all the wages. When you look at everything combined, you'll notice if you go to the last page of my Excel spreadsheet budget that's here, that has some highlighted stuff at the very end. Whoops, wrong one, sorry. In the wrong tab. But in that, it gives a summary of actually all the Public Works accounts. And when you look at the whole Public Works budget across the board, it speaks to about a 9.6% increase. It's slightly higher now. We just added $5,000 to it, but it's not that much, but it's 9.6. So when you look at the wages side of things, that is the big number here. To be perfectly honest with you, everything else is relatively flat, with the exception of there's a few lines that have been increased, like line painting. Once again, increases in product, and looking at down the road in the future. Not that we have 4,000 vehicles a day on any of our town roads as of yet. But in some of these roads, we're gonna have to look at having multi-line. So center line and then fog line for automated vehicles. Right now, under the MUTCD, it's about, they require that for 4,000 cars on an average for a daily vehicle count there. So, but I've looked at adding more center line involved in that.
Just a question, Scott,
Yes.
and you don't find that that'll have people getting confused with state roads and our town roads?
Oh, I'm sure it will if you start putting fog lines on stuff, I mean, as it is now, a lot of people feel that same way.
Mhm.
Come on up here.
Come on up here.
Hey, Courtney. Hi, Courtney.
Courtney was on the kid duty this evening, since her other half is sitting across from me. I can say that in the microphone. So Courtney, and the other thing is, since Courtney's here now, I can say it. But Courtney's been very much involved in this entire process, throughout the budget process for all of the different accounts that we've gone through. I think the only one that she might not have had as much involvement in was the solid waste one, just because I met with Scott on a Friday type of deal and she was off that day. So, but everything else we've pretty much worked out together, reviewed, and she's been able to look at everything. In this budget here, as far as like on personnel, there is, there is a cut, and the cut is that originally we had put in for one additional full-time person that worked between grounds and the cemetery. Based upon having we lost a person during the summer this year. And with the current staff that we had, we were able to maintain. If we had somebody else, we probably, would have benefited a little bit from that. There's no doubt if we had more staff, you can generally do more. But we were able to get by. I do realize that this is I think Courtney, we all do. I mean, her budget is one of those ones that she has to be careful, since she only has so many people that pay water bills that have to pay for her budget. So it's even tighter. So when we look at these, I ended up calling that the sacrifice there. We shifted some part-time hours in. Courtney and I talked about this. We've tried to think about young people in just getting out of high school, trying to maybe get them interested in the trade. And, we've spent some time, we've gone up and visited at the Votech over the past year. We went to a job fair situation up there as well. And, we did have some interest. And probably if we had part-time positions that were actively available, then we would have potentially would have filled them all. It was kind of weird how that all goes. Sometimes you do and sometimes you don't.
Well, and you find that in the summer times, if you've got school kids that are coming out doing the mowing and the stuff around, it gives the guys more time to do the equipment running and the big stuff. So that's
Exactly. I think it's
that's
a great
good way.
program and good to do.
Get some other young people, like you said, involved in it and realizing, geez, hey, maybe this is a place that we'd like to come to work.
It kind of gets the nervousness of the young folks.
Yeah.
Coming in and seeing all that construction equipment. They're here for the summer. They get used to what they're seeing, and then they're more apt to take a full-time thing when they're done. So.
Right.
It's very true. And it's a great idea. To try to get them involved, and quite a few might be involved and want to.
And it's
Have a
throughout.
full-time job.
Water, we talk about this all the time. We have the American Water Works, New England Water Works, and New Hampshire Water Works. And then we get the Public Works Association, and they're all doing the same thing, but they haven't quite collaborated yet to kind of achieve the same thing together. So there's a lot of reinventing of the wheel. Maybe the way we're working together, it might pave the way for them to maybe say, hey,
Very possible.
they got something figured out here, so let's not reinvent the wheel, so.
I mean, a lot of people don't get to kind of climb in and see what happens. But I mean, I couldn't be more proud of the group here and all, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
How well,
They're
and how
doing a great job.
cohesive that they all work together.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all individuals and we all have our own little quirky things, but they work so well together. They pick the phone up, they communicate, they I mean,
So important.
And it's
And
not
they
just
look out
there, it's
for each other.
everybody. It's the police, the fire, you guys all work
It's,
as a, as a unit.
I was just gonna say that it's a good working unit and
It
throughout
made-
the whole town,
It made it
it
come
makes
to
difference.
life even more during the summertime when we had that big, I mean, this place came together like you don't see. It's definitely.
yeah, and I
Exactly.
mean, that was one area, so just to be, transparent, that is one area that was not funded in here that helps control that. If not, I'd be just like the police chief, we'd be at the 10 plus percent, that keeps it down, that one position. Granted, it's, we don't see it on the benefit side as much in this budget, of course, but you do in yours a little
Right.
bit. So we have that little bit of savings that ends up happening there, on that side of it. And,
Well, regardless, Scott, I'm looking at your budget here and again, most of this is wage related.
It's all
and
wages.
It's wage related. It's, you guys are, I
I mean,
mean,
general expense is gone. I mean,
right.
yeah.
All
That's
the
higher.
departments have done a great job this year with
they have-
tightening up their strings to keep retention and to keep people here.
Right.
Yeah.
It's awesome how it's come together.
Yeah, again, just putting it in perspective for not, I know you
Yeah,
folks,
yeah.
but the general public as well is, we're covering the wage and retention alone, you're covering 10% plus 4% on possible, up to 4% merit for a total of 14%. Justin wages right there, and his overall budget that covers all of wages is only 9.6%.
Which is,
Which means he absorbed almost.
He absorbed
Almost 5%.
5%, yeah.
And through other
Did a great
areas
job on
of the
this.
budget.
what?
that's why I always give the disclaimer as well that, with doing this, we realize that, when things happen, like you do at home, you have to make sacrifices when you end up having, when the refrigerator quits on you and you didn't have that figured out, and you're a family that's going week to week type of thing there, you do whatever you can in order to buy a new fridge, or buy a
Absolutely.
freezer, whatever it is, but it's the same type of situation that we all have to deal with. That doesn't mean that, there's some things that won't get done. It won't be some progression that might need to happen as well. The highway department really needs to also have some things to step into the 21st century. I'm sorry, but power angle plows. I've got a big truck fleet that has no power angle plows. That is, in today's world, that's virtually unheard of. Right, I mean, it's, and the reason why I say that is it comes with
You don't-
major expense. It's a pretty good expense
It would be
to add
big
that,
expense,
but it, once again, efficiency and wear and tear on staff and equipment
Right.
and stuff with all the
And that's
cul-de-sacs.
Like
and
what he's
everything.
doing is different because you're plowing one way up, one way
Yeah.
back. You're not
Right.
plowing intersections and.
So are you
Well,
planning
you
on?
have to have that ability
incorporating
to-
that into
to
next
ship
year's
as well.
budget, or is that something you?
Yeah, I mean,
So start outfitting the newer trucks as we get them with the power angles, or are you gonna try to put power angles on them? The truck we have?
daggers.
Yeah, so I mean, the idea would be
Rely
as the
on
it.
new
Oh, yeah.
ones come in, of course, you would make
Yeah.
those changes and transition. We don't have a large truck that's due to be replaced, I think until like 2027 or somewhere right around here in the CIP plan. But so some of those other trucks, which are relatively new, I say 2019, there's two of them.
Mhm.
So those trucks, we would look for those newer ones that are in the fleet to see what it's gonna cost us to add in the valve bank, the additional valve on there to be able
The
to
new
add
plow,
that in.
the headgear, everything.
And then you'd have to look at, swapping out your plows. You'd-
Sure.
Well, and the
There's gonna be expense.
technology is changing
Right.
immensely every time. I mean, now you got one joystick in there and you hit one button, it pulls the plows and the wings up at the same time.
Mhm.
It drops them at the same time because of driver fatigue and.
Yeah.
Come a
and-
long
Now
way.
now they have like a gaming chair. For a
Yeah.
driver's seat, if you go to one of these and look online. Now that's the plow controls that they want because of what Brock said as far as the fatigue and doing the work and it's just like me, old school, like standard transmission trucks and that kind of thing. And I thought,
I remember that well.
we weren't ready for an automatic and 10, 12 years ago, we got the first automatic when I was in Moltenboro and I take it out for the first time and thinking I was going to shoot holes all in it and all that stuff. And I said, man, this is a lot easier.
Much.
Because I didn't have to, one less thing that you didn't have to do.
Yeah.
You were still pulling levers, and doing other things, so.
And it's only a matter of time before they start saying you can only plow so many hours anyway. It's
Right.
coming down the
Yeah.
pipe.
Oh, I'm
It is
sure.
coming.
We've made,
sure.
since making a lot of the changes, we've made a lot of great
Cut back.
strides in doing that. I mean, the overtime in this budget is clearly managed very well. I mean, granted, we get help, because Courtney's people are, always, at the ready as long as things are good in her house. She's
Mhm.
always, her team's always ready to come help us. So, yeah, okay, there's overtime that goes back and forth, in the budgets here, that we do that, we trade that back and forth. But on the other side of it is, by using the treated salt and those types of things. We had salt reduction last year on tonnage. And, once again, another year of minimal cleanup. Was able to show the board, what our numbers were on that. So things are better that way. There's just a few other things like this whole
Yeah.
plow thing, and those things come with an expense. So that's the reason why I say that, I don't like to, sometimes the public would say, geez, now he wants to buy stuff, next year, because the budget does see an upkick at some point, because that's kind of a maintenance operational thing. And to be honest with you, if this budget this year, we work with Ryan quite a bit, he says, if there's gonna be a couple dollars left next year, maybe you ought to look at doing one of those.
Yeah.
If in fact the money is there,
Yeah.
which, makes sense if we can make it
To
happen
maybe start.
that way.
Yeah.
Well, then you can move in a little bit at a time instead of all at once.
Right.
You gotta move a little bit instead of one
Yeah.
A
giant.
little more wiggle room. That way you're doing
Right.
one at a time and bringing it in, introducing it.
Yeah. I mean, but other than that, most of the other costs are somewhat fixed in some ways. They're all by contract. We talked about the last meeting, we did the whole thing with the salt and
Yep.
those things. Now, this budget here, I just want to double check. I did make I did include enough in here that will cover that. So for our liquid adjustment, they did up our liquid cost a little bit that way. So everything is covered in this pretty much that I can see. I
think you guys did a good job. I mean, we asked you to keep stuff level funded to keep, so we could deal with the retention problem, and I think you guys have
With a
done that very well.
14% hike.
It's,
I think you guys did that very well. Everybody, I mean,
everybody's working together.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
there was a lot of, we did a lot of back and forth.
collaborating.
Mhm.
All right.
All right,
anybody-
so I make a motion that we vote to approve the Department of Public Works budget at $2,065,188.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The only other one that I specifically have in here that Scott gave, he really worked on it, was the recycling budget revolving account, which I understand that does have to get a vote on it, even though it's self-funded.
4-8,000, I think is in the book.
And I believe it, I'm not sure how it comes up to you guys, but it's in that stack.
4-8,000.
8,000 recycling revolving.
He took that right off the top of his head too. I saw it. He wasn't even looking. That was-
No, I was looking. I was looking.
But this is 100,263, but that's revenue, right? That's revenue. That's
That's
not
all revenue.
expenditure. The revolving.
The budget.
account, That's,
The budget for the revolving fund.
but it's
But
self-funded.
self-funded.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I mean.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Right,
their
self-funded.
own money. Right.
I have no issues with this.
No.
There's not.
Your water one?
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the recycling revolving fund at $100,263.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So with the changes, Laura just said that she had reworked the numbers at the bottom line on this spreadsheet
Mhm.
that I provided,
Mhm.
and it just bumped us from 10.6% to 11%. That's what the.
Which is still
Which
way
is-
less than,
Oh, 10, this one right
It's
here,
11%.
10.6 to what? 11.
Not 10.6, but 11%.
That was because we did a few.
we added
a few
$5,000, we added. it.
We had a couple-
28,000 to building. So altogether, we added for 33,000.
All right, all right.
Which
So it's
is,
11%.
Which bumped us a 0.4%.
which is.
Which we're 15% when you add the 4.1%.
Yeah.
You're a good man, bro.
We're 11%, and then we add 4.1%.
Yeah, water.
Oh, that's separate. Yes. Yep, sorry.
Yeah, the water.
You are correct.
The water's self-funded as well.
Yeah.
Right, that's what we were just saying.
What's your next one, Scott?
Ought to be water.
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 Water department.
Give a
Yeah, that's all
Yeah. I grabbed-
self-funded as well, you said?
Grab the wrong book.
Self-
My books in
In the wrong truck.
mine's naked.
Yeah.
Pay us paid for it, not us.
So we just
Right.
we'll have to vote to approve it?
Yeah.
In the water department.
Yeah.
So did you guys approve the 8,000?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, you're all,
We were
it's all set.
hunting and for something else.
Yeah, we were waiting for you.
We're gonna do the water one then.
That one was a reduction altogether anyways. The recycling one.
Yeah.
Was a reduction.
560.
I just, that we did leave in the part-time attendant in there.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
And this is
Yeah,
all
water- this
wages
is-
as
yeah,
well.
Nine dash 4331.
This is all, the increase in this is all wages and it's paid for by the rate pay.
So,
Yeah, again, this is all paid for, level funded.
Yeah, so basically everything is pretty much the same as last year besides the
all right.
huge
Okay.
increase to
The
the
wage increases.
wages.
And they were still able to absorb most of that because it's only 4.1 and not the 10%.
Right.
I make a
Right,
motion that we
4.1.
vote to
Right.
accept the water department budget at $560,810.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we done?
Is that it?
Yeah, that's as far as I know.
Hey, thanks, Brian, Laura and Stacy for putting this all together again. You guys,
No.
make it easy.
Well, no, this is good. It's nice to have the bottom line on everything and being able to look through everything, each and every line, the explanation.
And it's easy to navigate through, you know?
Yes.
It's easy to get through.
No, it works good. All right, any other business?
Yes, we got a couple of things I had to bring up tonight, just because of time sensitive. So on the table, you'll see, first thing is, the water department ran into an issue where, both of their heating units are completely gone. They had to be disconnected because they were unsafe. So when they went to service them, they were unsafe to continue and use. So they're in need of heat. They have no heat down there now. We
Okay.
gotta make, they have money in their, yeah, they have money in their capital reserve. So the money's in the capital reserve. They just need the board's approval. You see the estimates that are in there. I don't think there was anything unreasonable about it, and given the circumstances to move forward quickly. The money's in the capital reserve.
Well,
I think
yeah,
you want two separate. You need both of.
Yeah,
these
there's two different
separate
buildings.
things.
Yeah, two
They're-
buildings.
Right, so the two buildings, these are two separate for both units. One's
For
for each
the,
unit.
for the office in Jonesfield.
Okay, which one is, so this 5,800 is for Jones?
That one's for Jonesfield. So the
Jones,
heater that's there when it was installed directly above the chlorine tank. Chlorine gas is off and oxidizes everything in a heating unit. We've been getting it by as long as we can, but it is now not repairable. So we're gonna go with a different setup and move it somewhere
okay,
better.
all right,
I make a motion that we vote to appropriate the amount of $5,802.20 to the Jonesfield Water Station for the new heating system.
And then I'll need an approval for the office as well, which is.
Don't you want two separate?
may as well,
ones?
do.
Yeah.
Oh, want to do them
Sa-
separately?
It'll be the same capital reserve
Separate.
that it's coming from.
Once you
They're all
combine them.
coming- yeah.
Combine them for-
Combine the two.
8,639.20.
8,635?
$8,639.25.
Okay,
To be,
can I strike that? Just start again?
yeah, to be expended out of the.
Out of the
Capital reserve.
I make a motion that we vote to expend $8,639.25 out of the capital reserve fund to repair the heating systems on the water department stations.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just one thing, I just want to make sure, does it need to be expended from the water building expense? Or is it, okay, I just wanted to make sure you're gonna have to,
I'll amend it.
so
Oh,
it needs to come from the water building expense capital reserve account.
My amendment is to make it out of the
Cap.
Water
Water
expense. capital-
maintenance capital reserve fund.
Water building maintenance.
Water building maintenance capital reserve fund. Can we have, let's get an
Second.
abbreviation for that.
Motion's out.
I just didn't want any
No, that was good.
Fine.
housekeeping. issues.
Good call.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. As,
Thank you very much.
thank you very much.
Kenny is gonna be very happy.
How soon is he gonna be able to start
He
those?
starts Tuesday. Thank you for doing that.
Good.
We can't have you guys freezing.
Okay,
I know.
next one is just an elderly, it's a
Get him over there.
yearly thing. So the next item, if you see on there, there's an agreement for payment in lieu of taxes. And that's for the elderly housing, Alton Elderly Housing,
Mhm.
up off of Pearson Road. This is an annual thing, as far as their agreement, for payment in lieu of taxes.
So this is 1,298. Is that? No,
That's a million.
that's a million.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. Yeah, that's $1,298,200. 3.91, the tax rate.
You had me second guessing.
Yeah, no, I was looking over here and then I saw that. Yep. Okay, so this is, we need to vote on this as well and then sign this.
Yes,
All right, do we have a motion for the Alton housing for the elderly?
How do I word, just to appropriate the,
no, it's just a motion to approve the agreement for payment in lieu of taxes for Alton Elderly Housing.
In the sum, have you see the sum there?
so,
So moved.
So moved. That's
Okay,
Second.
there we go.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ryan did a good job on
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Next one.
Cloud permit?
Before we go to that one, this one's real quick, Dave. There was just the Alton Business Association made a request, and because it's town property, I needed the board's authorization. They want to hang their Harvest Happenings banner. It's happening in a week off the gazebo, the historical gazebo railing and on Ginny Park.
Yep.
Just until harvest happens, like a week and a half. They wanna hang
Yeah,
it out
that's,
there, so.
I,
I didn't foresee a problem, but I didn't necessarily have the authorization to permit it without talking to the board.
I have no problem with that.
Okay, so as long as the board, I don't need a vote on it, as long as the board.
Okay, no, I-
consensus, we're good.
consensus is
You
fine.
all set with it? You got any concerns about that? No? Yeah, I just, it's a town, a townwide event, but I also
Mhm.
didn't want to set the precedence too, that we're gonna have a bunch of private businesses hanging banners off our gazebos, so.
No, the only time is usually when there's an event happening,
Yeah,
either by the
That
town
has something
itself.
to do with town.
yeah.
It's something to do with the town. It's usually the Alton Business Association.
Sure. So the last piece of business for tonight is there's a cloud permit proposal. Cloud permit, again, along the lines of the discussion of the influx of permitting over at the building department, short-term rentals, and also the big increase in site plans and zoning applications. What this is we did, myself, Josh, the IT manager, the building department, Jessica, the planner, and both of the administrative staff, we all sat in on some webinars on this cloud permitting. This is a software program that is designed to take over and do all the permitting software for building, code enforcement, and land use, totally planning. And what this will do is allow for online permitting and online dialogue between the permitting applications. So there's a running track of information that needs to be completed before the permit is accepted, because we're running into a big problem right now where permits are being submitted that aren't complete, aren't filled out. And they're being kicked back with a request for a certain amount of information or more information. And for some reason, even those requests are being documented through email or whatnot, they're just not being complied with, and the permit's just sitting there. We've had 2 or 3 that have gone to 40 days before all of a sudden phone calls are being made, complaints are being made, when they were told 25 days ago that they needed to provide either a truss design or some sort of updated information to complete that permit application. And this will help with that because there'll be much better. Right now, we don't really have the ability to keep the running tracking. iWorks just, has the basic information, but you can't do online permitting. You can't update and things like that.
So that'll allow you to do it.
Right. This software will allow us to do it, but also in the software also will do the merger of our current information into the new system. They handle that on site. And they will build and tailor the system to what we want for planning, because we don't have a system. We have no system for planning right now. It's all hard paper. So they'll tailor the system for that and for code enforcement, for complaints and things like that to better track. Not to mention, it also helps track the cash and the money coming in and out of those departments, which that's a big deal too.
So it's around 13,000 per year.
So what this is it's 13.5 is just the first year. And what that does is if you look at the bottom, that's the data input fee, and the implementation fee are $6,000. That's just the first year, that's $6,000. The $7,500 a year is what the subscription fee is. And what that breaks down to is that's a realistic price, because we got them down to $2,500 a unit. So the software for planning is $2,500, software for building, and for any single department, we pay anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000, depending on what the software is. So getting all of this for $7,500 is a pretty good deal running. And we currently budget for the software we have at $3,000. So the increase moving forward is only $4,500 a year.
Is this program is available on all town computers? Like the building inspector when he goes out?
It would be just the building department.
Yeah, this would be the software that they use to input
Update. I gotcha.
their permitting.
This is so the permit, the short term, I have like everything's on one platform.
This will permit,
Okay, I
this will
understand now.
permit the applicant to go online, fill out
That
the
makes sense.
application, follow the guidelines of the application, send it in, and if it gets kicked back, that means something was missing.
Right. So it's a two-way communication between the applicant and the building department or the planning department. And you can correspond, it documents correspondence.
Just to come show people more about the stuff that they need before it goes to the planning board, so you don't get up there and say, we need to have all this other stuff. It's already right here. It tells you you need this to begin with.
Right.
That way it doesn't sit on,
Doesn't sit on-
a shelf,
Right.
because it got kicked back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the same thing, this will also help with the application process for the short-term rentals.
Yes, they're gonna, what they'll do is
They'll
they'll
do
tailor the platform to each need of the town. And they're very good about tailoring it like that. And so it's not just one, here's our basic platform, you make it work for you. They change the fields, the screens. They get rid of stuff that doesn't apply to a smaller community where it might apply in Portsmouth or Concord or Manchester. And they'll get rid of those fields and tailor them to the fields that we have.
Where is this coming out of?
So right now, this would come out of the IT software. We would probably end up overrunning that line this year, but to cover it at a surplus.
Okay.
Because we have the funding to cover this first year.
Mhm.
The other thing the company said that they would be willing to do is defer billing between maybe the implementation fee this year at a surplus, and then the subscription out of next year's operating budget. If we have to do that. But my intent would be to cover the bulk of this first year at a surplus so that we're not carrying it into 2024's
How quickly,
budget.
how quickly can this be set up?
Well, my intent would be if the board approved it, that I would reach out to the company tomorrow or more. Initiate, let them know there is a contract portion of this that's 40 pages long. That has terms and conditions. My intent is that goes to legal first, obviously.
Okay.
I don't,
Yeah,
you know,
Absolutely.
that I didn't print out all 40 pages because I didn't think you guys wanted to read that
No,
tonight.
no, let that go to legal
Right.
counsel.
So that's all, it looked all pretty standard to me,
Mhm.
but that's.
Let them
something-
look at that first.
Yeah, so first step would be tomorrow or tonight, I'll email this contract to town council.
Mhm.
If the board's agreeance with it, let him review it, make sure he's good to go. As soon as I get the thumbs up, I'll let the company know that we're gonna move forward, make any changes to the contract per council. If he's good with the standard language, then I'll execute the contract. And they said that we would they would have probably the merger done and everything up and running. Probably by mid-December.
So they don't have to shut down anything as far as our computers and
Nope.
and department.
Nope. They said, and there's also training and all that stuff provided along with it too, to work with the department. And like I said, they said that they'll start with building because that's the most basic of the platforms, add in the short-term rentals, but planning takes some customization.
Sure it does. Yeah.
To get that in. And of course, they'll start, they've already worked with the administrators about, downloading current or previous subdivisions, plan approvals, things like that, so that we can start uploading all that information that is on hard paper into this program.
I think this is going to be a step in the right direction for helping out the planning department and the building department. And making the process a little bit easier for people to go online and fill out.
Mhm.
And if they have questions, they can call.
Well, and everything's gonna be right there in front of you, so you know what
That's
they're
right.
looking for.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Kind of a no.
this is something I think is needed.
I'll make a motion. Go with cloud print for the sum of $13,500 for as written in the contract.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Yeah,
all
Thank you.
right, thank you.
And that's all I had, gentlemen.
I do have one thing I'd like to ask the board.
Oh.
What is your general consensus on this, on the setup we have in here? Is everybody happy with it? The planning board wanted me to bring to your attention that they thought this was too a straight desk. I'm personally.
From what I understand, there was 18 people trying to sit around this table the other day at the planning department.
I just-
Pretty sure
I
there's
just said I would bring it
14?
up. I just said I would bring it up.
Yeah, well, it sounds like a planning board problem. And I think this setup works just fine. And it's, you can have up to 8 people at this table, but not 14.
Listen, I know, I was. and
I don't think alternates should be sitting at the table.
No, I mean,
Unless they're called on to.
if they're called on and they're voted on to assist.
If they're the alternate, that means somebody's not here. To be an empty seat.
Right, for them to sit.
So
there.
this is true.
All the other alternates can sit.
But you don't need to have the planning board and then everybody at the planning board have their own alternate
Right.
sitting next to them.
Sit next to.
All I meant was I would be remiss if I didn't bring it.
You did
Yeah, no, you did the right thing. And,
Wanted to let you guys.
but I think this is
I
what,
like it.
this is
I
gonna work
personally
out
like
well. Everybody like this idea?
Patrick,
I think it works out.
Mhm.
everybody, what do you guys think?
I love it.
Patrick says no comment.
Works great.
Are you comfortable?
Can you see well? Can you hear everything?
Well, everybody can hear Brock. I mean. Everybody can hear.
I really don't even.
You don't
need
need
Brock Mitchell, come on down.
And I will make note that we did get the second speaker. There was some comments about how well it could be heard,
Mhm.
even when we had the roundtable.
I heard it.
So
Yeah.
we have the second speaker, so it's flanking both sides of the table. Yeah, and
No, I think it's an improvement. I just think planning board needs to work it out.
so.
Duly noted.
Okay.
Duly noted.
Well, the zoning board hasn't met on this either yet, but there's 5 members. So it should be pretty easy.
Just since you brought that up, I forgot, but one of the other comments that was made is that planning board was going to write a letter to the board in regards, and we might get that letter, but there's been some other comments about the decision to let go of local review over septic designs, the decision that we made at the last meeting.
We have no authority over it anyway, none.
Right, and I just want for the, for the public, for the board members, we had to actually write a letter to DES, so DES knew what the changes were in our procedure. And in that letter, it specifically states for the public that the town has decided not to require local approval prior to DES approval. But we still are, there was no changes made to the requirement of providing an approved design after DES approves it and operational approval before any CO is issued. So to reassure the public or anybody else that was concerned that we did not surrender any of the town's right of control or oversight. The only thing that we did was take away the obligation for a licensed designer in the state of New Hampshire to submit a permit to the town first, delaying it before it goes to DES, because technically, as Selectman Mitchell said, the town does not have control over approval or no approval of a state designed septic system that has to be through DES. So,
Yes, yeah.
and that's where, when we talked about the redundancy of it, is we were forcing people to delay their application and then in turn delaying their building permit. It was a trickle down effect.
Well, not only that,
So-
it lies up our building inspector for something that doesn't need to be inspected.
I thought it was,
That's
pure-
right.
I thought we purely did it to streamline the process. That's what I
Yes,
thought.
we did.
That's
that
the
is-
way that's
that's
the way I
exactly-
described it. That's
It's
the
to
way I
make
had
it,
described
make it so
Okay.
it's a little easier for the
That's fine. That's the way I described
inspector
it.
to go through.
Mhm.
That
And
was
like I said,
next.
the CO still has to be done. And all this is on file in town hall for each and every septic design, each and every CO. So it's all here on file. So
There's
I don't
nothing
see an
being-
issue.
No, there's no issues. If people didn't understand exactly what was going on.
Right.
So
Right.
that's-
And I had a
After-
few people
after
ask me.
That was my explanation to them last night, was not as clear as what we just made it just now.
Okay.
And that's why I chose to
Yeah.
talk about it again. And like I said, I wanted to make sure that we all, and everybody for the public watching the meeting could get that explanation that we didn't surrender any of our control or right to have the information, have it on file, require the operational permit. The only thing that we surrendered was that delay at the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah.
When we had no control over an approving
Anyway,
a design or not.
That's
We're
gonna,
paying somebody to go out and do a job that doesn't need to be done.
Right.
it's inspected by the state.
Right.
Mhm.
And
And
so
even if
it's a
we
step
said
we don't
no,
need.
the state already overrode what we said anyway, so it
Right.
doesn't.
Thank you very much. for that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else?
The only other thing I forgot to add into that motion,
Mhm.
as long as the board is all right with that cloud permit contract, upon town council review and approval, my authorization to sign contract.
I make the, the town administrator to sign the contract after.
Council
After
review.
council reviews.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now I'm done for
All
real.
right.
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Everybody's light is nice and bright green. Mine's got this multicolored